Hi there, welcome back to ET Now. Very good morning. I'm Kanishka Sarkar and with me is Srishti Sharma, and over the next 1 hour we'll take you through all that's been happening across the globe and all the domestic cues as well that you need to watch out for, alongside all the list of stocks that you must keep on your radar today. But before that, let's address the most important news flow that we're getting this morning and the most latest update that we must track. Now, 9 people are dead and at least 20 injured after a powerful explosion ripped through a Hyundai i20 car near Delhi's historic Red Fort on Monday evening. The blast occurred around 6:50 p.m. near the Red Fort metro station, triggering massive flames and panic among commuters. Police have cordoned off the area and high alert has been declared across Delhi. Home Minister Amit Shah visited the site, assuring a full-scale investigation by top agencies. The car involved was reportedly sold to a man from Pulwama, Jammu and Kashmir. Forensic teams are examining samples to determine the nature of the explosives. Now, the blast comes just hours after authorities in Haryana's Faridabad seized nearly 3,000 kilograms of explosive material. As of now, teams of Delhi Police, NIA and NSG as well as FSL have started the probe, and a Home Minister will be holding a high-level meeting with top officials today to analyze the blast. Well, my colleague Sameer Dixit is also standing by for the latest on government measures that are being taken as far as the security details and other issues are concerned. Sameer, over to you.
So as of now, the investigative agencies, whether it be NSG, NIA or even FSL, they are trying to connect the dots and also to find out the cause of the blast. Now, this shocking incident occurred on Monday evening by around like 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. in the evening, when in a slow-moving Hyundai i20 car, a blast happened that led that other nearby cars also caught fire, and that resulted in the loss of life. 9 people have been reportedly, they have lost their life, and more than 20 people are injured. As of now, all the top-notch security agencies, they are investigating it, all the CCTV cameras of nearby areas. In addition to this, the forensic team is also on the spot. They are trying to collect the evidences and to establish the initial cause of the blast. But what we are also picking up from our sources that the investigative agencies, now they are trying to establish or to get to know if there is any terror link as well. The car in which this blast occurred, Hyundai i20 car, it was registered in the name of Muhammad Salman, and he has been questioned by the investigative agency because the car, it carried a Haryana registration. But the initial probe suggests that Muhammad Salman gave a statement that he sold the car to one of the men in Okhla. But we are also getting to know that this car was also sold to one of the person in Pulwama. So these sort of development are indicating that everything is not so okay, and there could be some sort of suspicious activity. So as of now, not official word on the terror involvement, but yes, from all the possible angles, the investigation is currently on. In addition to this, Union Home Minister and even Prime Minister are continuously taking the stock of the situation. Yesterday itself, we have seen that the Union Home Minister took a detailed briefing from Delhi Chief Police Commissioner, and also Home Minister has apprised about the situation to the Prime Minister. So a continuous monitoring is being done from the top government officials and even from the Home Ministry as well. As of now, no final word, but yes, the entire focus is on to connect the dots, because recently we have seen that in Faridabad also a massive seizure of explosive was done by the police, and also terror module was busted by Gujarat police as well. So this sort of development in the last couple of days has raised alarm for the security agencies, and that is the reason that they are looking to investigate this particular blast from all the possible angle. Even Home Minister has mentioned in his media briefing as well that all the angles will be looked upon and it will be established, and then only a final word will come in from the government side. As of now, the FSL team is at the spot. Even the NSG team is at the spot. Last whole night, the evidences were being collected. Even today as well, the entire investigation will be carried on, and they are looking to establish these dots. In addition to this particular car in which the blast happened, to whom it was sold and Why so? Because what we are also getting to know that the papers which were used by the buyer, those were fake papers, which also raises many questions and alarm for the security agencies. So all this development happened last night. But yes, in addition to this, let me also tell you that nine innocent lives have been lost in this blast, and more than 20 are injured, and they have been admitted to nearby LNJP hospital, where last evening Home Minister and Delhi Chief Minister also visited to get to know that what sort of treatment is going on and if any more assistance is required. So from all the possible angle, the investigation is on, but the government is saying that they can confirm or they can share a statement on the cause of the blast only after preliminary investigation is done by the investigative agencies, and then they share some brief on the scene.
Thank you so much, Sameer, for getting us the latest from ground zero. So that's the big news that we're getting to understand from the national capital, Delhi. But with this, let's also listen in to what Home Minister Amit Shah said about the investigation.
हम सभी एंगल्स को ओपन रखकर सभी दृष्टि से जांच कर रहे हैं। घटना किस कारण से हुई, ये अभी कहना बहुत मुश्किल है। जब तक विस्फोट के स्पॉट पर से जो स्पेसिमेंस मिलेंगे, इसका जब तक एफएसएल का एनालिसिस, एनएसजी का एनालिसिस नहीं होता, इसके बारे में कुछ भी कहना दिक्कत है। मगर हम किसी भी एंगल को बंद नहीं मानते हैं। सभी एंगल का हम दृढ़ता के साथ आगे जांच करें।
All right, so that's the word coming from Home Minister Amit Shah. But let's also listen to what eyewitnesses, the Delhi police and defense experts had to say about this blast in Delhi last evening.
भाई गाड़ी में बम था।
किसकी गाड़ी में?
कार में।
तो आप लोग वहीं खड़े थे? आप वहीं थे?
मैं उसके पीछे पीछे चल रहा था।
कार के? तो कितने लोग सवार थे उस गाड़ी में, कुछ पता चला?
भाई होंगे 4-5, कई जने वैसे ही जल गए, आसपास में जो थे वो फटे।
कितनी गाड़ियां डैमेज हुई हैं यहाँ पे? कितनी?
2-3 गाड़ी।
वो जो कार सवार थे उनकी क्या हालत कैसी है?
कुछ तो गंभीर है, 8-10 तो गंभीर है, 20-25 जनों को वैसे चोट आई है उनके जैसे खींचड़ों से, कुछ हाथों हाथ।
कितने बजे घटना घटी?
7 बजे या 7 बजे।
करीब 6:52 पे एक यहाँ पे रेड लाइट पे एक स्लो मूविंग व्हीकल जो रेड लाइट की तरफ आके रुका था, उसमें एक ये एक्सप्लोजन हुआ है। उस वक्त गाड़ी के अंदर जो पैसेंजर्स उसके अंदर ही थे, और इस एक्सप्लोजन से जो है आसपास की गाड़ियों में भी क्षति हुई। जैसे ही इसकी खबर मिली, हम सारी एजेंसीज जो है, दिल्ली पुलिस, एफएसएल, एनआईए, एनएसजी, उनकी टीम्स यहाँ पे आ चुकी हैं और हालात का जायजा भी ले रही है। हर तरीके से इस जो है एक्सप्लोजन के बारे में जांच की जा रही है और जल्दी ही इसका आकलन करके इसका जो भी रिजल्ट निकलेगा वो आपको बताया जाएगा।
It's a very gory incident, and because this terror module has been busted, a lot of explosive and RDX has been seized from them. 2 people are still missing from that module. So it apparently shows that the same module may have operated or may have caused this blast, which has resulted into this serious incident at Lal Killa. It is too premature till the time the official version of Delhi police comes. But prima facie, as an experienced police officer, I can dare say that this is the part of the effort of the terrorists has apparently succeeded, that they have caused this blast. They could have probably caused a much more and much larger number of blasts in the country at various places. But fortunately, due to the timely seizure of the explosives and the guns, that plot was foiled. So whatever little module was left, which was operating in Delhi or Faridabad, etc., that module appears to have caused this particular blast and caused these deaths and injuries.
This is not a normal blast. It possibly then seemed to be a gas cylinder blast or CNG blast, because the explosion which been used in this possibly is of a very high intensity, because 8 people have killed, 24 has been injured. All the same, we cannot reach to any conclusion because Delhi police will give us the press briefing. But if you see the preliminary this thing, it seemingly looks to be a medium level blast. And possibly, is it linked with what has happened in last 3 to 4 days? where that white-collar terrorism is being exposed, wherein doctors were involved, and you find what has happened in Jammu and Kashmir. AK-47 rifle is found, ammonia nitrate and weapons have been seized from Faridabad and then also from Saharanpur. So is it linked with it? Is it that the terrorists have managed to infiltrate in these areas? One has to wait for it. But one thing one must remember: in last about 10 to 12 years, after the present government has come into power, you have seen it that no incident has taken place of a terrorism other than in J&K. The reason is simple, that there is a thorough coordination of intelligence agencies. The NIA function very well. There is a cooperation and coordination between state government as well as the central government agencies. The security forces operate in a proactive, before any action can be done by terrorists, preemptive action is taken. That is accreditable. But in case if this incident taken place, one has to take it seriously, because can it be linked with what has been happening in last 3-4 days, when we have exposed a module which is basically of white-collar terrorism, because those who were involved were those doctors whom we least suspect in the society.
See, absolutely, Red Fort area is symbolic, and if you remember, there has been a Lashkar-e-Toiba attack on Red Fort before as well, a number of years back, though. Red Fort is a symbol of our sovereignty, our independence, and a blast over there has a meaning to be conveyed. And over the years, we were feeling very proud of ourselves that in the heartland, not a single terror activity has taken place. Well, that thing has been smashed, and there has been a terror activity that has taken place, wherein I guess 8 to 9 people have been killed. Exactly what has happened, officially nothing has been confirmed, but what one can understand out of is that it is definitely a terrorist activity, and it cannot be seen in isolation from what we have seen in Faridabad, wherein around 3,000 kgs of explosive was recovered, and also ISIS plan being executed through an Ahmedabad doctor who was planning to poison, carry out mass poisoning. That would have been the world's one of the biggest mass poisoning had it succeeded. So there have been 3 things in past 24 hours. One is the Ahmedabad doctor's arrest, who was planning to carry out mass poisoning. Another is the Faridabad recovery. And the third one and most important thing that has happened because of which we are talking is the blast that has taken place in front of Red Fort or near Red Fort. So this is what has happened, and I think as the nation, especially the North India, is in a state of high alert, I think the forensics and investigation will tell what exactly has happened.
All right, so that's the big news that we are getting to understand. The investigations are underway, and definitely we all are waiting to have more details on this one. But with this view of markets then, for the Indian markets, what sort of a handover we are getting to have from the global markets? Let's deep dive more into that. Firstly, with respect to the US market, it was a day of gains wherein we have seen a stellar run-up when it comes to NASDAQ, which inched more than 2% in trade just yesterday. Along with that, it was S&P 500 that actually gained over 1.5%, and even Dow Jones was seen to be advancing with almost 0.8% of a gain. All across the board, we have seen the shade of green all over, and along with that, it was Nvidia that was seen to be surging with almost 6% of the gains, while even the other tech-heavy counters were seen to be advancing. It was the Senate that moved closer to the passing of a funding bill. The risk assets were seen to be rallying, while there was a bit of an uptick when it comes to Treasury yields as well. But in terms of the global commentary, it's the big commentary coming in from Donald Trump yet again, where he says that the US is getting closer to a fair deal with India. So a bit of a positive news flow over there with respect to the tariff announcements, and even markets are taking the cognizance of the fact that yes, of course, the trade deals are moving in the right direction, and a lot of these counters are definitely are seen to be having a good day. But Kanishka, what about the Asian check?
Absolutely, Srishti. Very positive cues coming from the Asian markets as well, just like Wall Street. So let's start with Japan's Nikkei index and see how it is trading. It's up more than 380 points right now, 300 points right now, trading at that 51,200 odd level. So yes, very positive moves over there. Now if we talk about S&P ASX 200, that is Australia's index, that's the one that's trading slightly with a negative bias, but absolutely flat, just about a 0.07% of downtick over there. On the other hand, we have China's Shanghai index. Let's see how that one is performing. Absolutely flat moves over there as well, down about 0.1% at that 4,000 odd level. So yes, ASX 200 and Shanghai index from China, these are the two levels, two indexes that are in the red right now, but absolutely flat moves as of now. Other than that, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index, let's see how that one is doing. It's also trading in the green, up about 0.4% right now, 0.2% right now, up about 73 points at that 26,720 odd level. So yes, positive moves over there. In fact, South Korea's Kospi Index, that's also trading in the green. In fact, it's up more than 2% right now, trading close to 4,100. So yes, trading above that level. Now, if we talk about the Nifty, that's actually, we did manage to end in the green yesterday at that 25,574 level, but it looks like we're unable to sustain that 25,600 mark for now. If we talk about the moves today, absolutely flat, but yes, a positive start is what we are penciling in for the Indian markets. An uptick of about 23 points is what is being penciled. The implied Nifty, it's at 25,718 right now. So let's see how that pans out. Srishti, yes, looks like a positive start is where we are headed.
Oh, well, indeed. That's what GIFT Nifty is also indicating. But with respect to the crude checks, not much happening over there as of now. It's WTI as well as Brent crude that is trading with a bit of a red tinge. WTI crude steadies below that $60 per barrel mark, while Brent crude is hovering around that $63 per barrel mark. No significant moves when it comes to the crude checks. But yes, of course, the markets are waiting to hear on the OPEC's monthly outlook as well as the IEA's annual report is something that the markets are waiting by for.
That's right. So that's the global market check, and largely positive cues coming for the Indian market ahead of the start today. But let's get tracking some of the top global stories as well this morning. First up, Sergio Gore has been sworn as the new US ambassador to India and special envoy to South and Central Asia. At the Oval Office ceremony, President Donald Trump praised India as one of the world's oldest civilizations and the largest country in the world. Trump said that he's confident that Gore will strengthen the partnership between the two largest democracies and deepen strategic trade ties with New Delhi. Let's listen in to what Sergio Gore had to say.
Forward to enhancing the relationship between our two nations. But again, thank you for entrusting me with this position, and I look forward to doing a great job.
Well, along with that, in terms of the big commentaries, the US President Donald Trump, who says that Washington is getting close to striking a fair trade deal with India, speaking at the swearing in of his new envoy to India, Sergio Gore. Trump said that the upcoming agreement will be much different from the past deals, aiming for more balanced trade and stronger economic ties between the two nations.
You know, we're making a deal with India, a much different deal than we had in the past. So right now they don't love me, but they'll love us again. We're getting a fair deal, just a fair trade deal. We had pretty unfair trade deals. They're very good negotiators, Sergio, so you have to take a look at that, if you would, please. But we're getting close, Scott. I think we're pretty close to doing a deal that's good for everybody. Tariffs are very high on India because of the Russian oil, and they've stopped doing the Russian oil. It's been reduced very substantially. Yeah, we're going to be bringing the tariffs down.
What kind of level are we talking about here?
I mean, at some point we're going to be bringing them down. Without tariffs, this country would be in such trouble. as they were for many years. That's why we owe $38 trillion. An economic disaster. It would be a national security disaster if we lost the case in the Supreme Court.
All right, so that's the word coming from Trump on India-US's trade deal. Let's see how that goes. But moving on, the US Senate has begun the final votes on a deal to end the government shutdown, the longest in the nation's history. Now, if passed, it will move to the House, where Speaker Mike Johnson has urged members to return to Washington for a swift vote. Now, Trump says that he supports the deal in its current form, which would reopen the government for the first time since October 1st.
All right, and Federal Reserve Governor Stephen Miran says a half-point interest rate cut in December would be appropriate to guard against economic slowdown. And in an interview, Miran urged the Fed to move faster than its usual quarter-point pace, but said at minimum a 25 basis point reduction is needed. Despite internal divisions, markets still expect another rate cut next month as inflation and job growth continue to cool.
All right, then, those are some of the top global stories that we're tracking this morning, and largely positive cues is what we have seen for the Indian market. But how did we perform yesterday? Sneh is here to take us through that entire market roundup.
Well, yes, overall a decent day of trade is something that the market saw on the first day of the trading session of the week. If you take a look at the Nifty levels, 25,574. Now remember, 25,600 and above is a mark that we managed to hold on to for most part of the day, but a slight pullback towards the end of the day, and we've managed to end below that 25,600 mark, but nonetheless above 25,550. So that is something that looked good for the market, a 0.3% uptick on the Nifty. Similar moves coming in for Sensex. Nifty Bank was absolutely on the flat line, with Nifty PSU banks under slight pressure. If you take a look at some individual Nifty gainers and losers, on the gaining side you had some of the IT stocks doing very well on the back of the idea that the US government shutdown could reverse very soon, and you had names like Infosys, TCS, all of them did well, followed by Bajaj Finance, Grasim, Coal India, Asian Paints are some of your top Nifty gainers. On the flip side, deep pressure on Trent on the back of a City downgrade and weak earnings coming in, 7.5% cut on the back of that revenue growth slowing down. Tata Consumer, Eternal, Power Grid, Apollo Hospitals were some of the losers that saw cuts of more than 1% in trade. The advanced decline ratio towards the end of the trading session skewed more towards the declines, and that is what caused some pressure on the Nifty. If you take a look at some sectoral gainers and losers, we spoke about IT, but following that you had Pharma, Metal, Energy, Auto doing very well. Nifty Bank on the flat line. On the flip side, FMCG, PSU banks and Realty were some sectors that saw some pressure. Individual gainers and losers, you had too many on the back of earnings reaction, something like an HBL Engineering, Nalco, Uno Minda, Torrent Pharma, Balrampur Chini on the back of the government allowing the export of sugar. So all of that looked very good. The entire sugar pack saw some sweet gains, but on the flip side, transformers and rectifiers on the back of weak earnings, 20% in lower circuit. That spillover effect on Transrail, that was lower by 12%. GM Financial, Trend, Graphite India, Schneider Electric, HEG, Aether Energy, as well as a Shipping Corporation, Ola Electric, along with an REC. These continue to be the top losers from the Nifty 500 group of stocks. So all in all, mixed day of trade coming in. Yes, we managed to end positively, but a slight pullback from the day's high that was about 25,600 and 25,575 thereabouts are the levels that we've closed. All eyes are going to be on the way the market trends on the day of the Nifty expiry.
All right, thank you so much, Snehi, for getting us all those details. But with this, let's also tell you which are some of the stocks that are going to be in focus in trade today. And firstly, let me take it across to my colleague Ashesha, who's standing by with select counters within that list. Good morning, Ashesha. Take it away.
Good morning, and first up let's talk about Bajaj Finance, because they have gone ahead and lowered their growth guidance. So the revised growth guidance now stands at 22 to 23% versus 23 to 24% earlier. As far as their credit cost guidance is concerned, management has reiterated their FY26 credit cost guidance in the range of 1.85 to 1.95%, but they are confident that credit cost is likely to improve in FY27. As far as net interest margins are concerned, that is expected to remain flat going forward. So that's the management commentary. They've gone ahead and lowered their growth guidance. So perhaps a weak set of numbers and weak commentary that came in from the management. Britannia Industries, meanwhile, big management rejig that came in overnight. Varun Berry has resigned as the managing director and CEO. Board has appointed Rakshit Hargave as the CEO and MD. with effect from 15th of December 2025. So some big changes happening in the management. Britannia will also be in focus on the back of that. Meanwhile, let's also talk about Tata Motors, and some big update has come in with respect to their demerger, where Tata Motors commercial vehicles arm will get listed on bourses tomorrow, that is the 12th of November. ONGC meanwhile has reported weak set of numbers across the board. It is a weak set. EBITDA, remember, has been lower than what the street was working with, and this is on account of higher expenses in the quarter gone by. In fact, other expenses have risen substantially, both on a sequential and on a year-on-year basis, although net crude realization shot up 2% sequentially on account of higher crude oil prices in the quarter gone by. But all in all, weak set of numbers because of lower EBITDA, and lower EBITDA was on account of higher other expenses. Gujarat Gas meanwhile has also reported weak set of numbers. Volumes have declined, and that has been a big miss this time around. Remember, volumes declined by about 2% on a sequential basis. EBITDA margin on a sequential basis has also declined to 6.4 rupees per SCM versus street expectations of about 6 rupees per SCM. So yes, Gujarat Gas has also reported weak set. Perhaps we could see some kind of negative reaction on this counter.
Thank you so much, Shesha, for getting us all those details. But with this, let's also tell you which are some of the other counters that we will be keeping on our radar. And first up, let's talk about Syrma SGS. The company did come out with its earnings. It seems like a good set where the revenue has seen a surge of 38% on a YY basis. The EBITDA has seen a surge of 62%, while the margins have seen a growth from 8.5% to 10% right now. And along with that, the company has also come out with an announcement where they say that they will be acquiring 60% in Elcom Integrated System, and this marks their entry into the defense and maritime electronics. Other than that, Vikran Engineering will be in focus, one of the other result candidates. Along with that, positive news flow coming in as they have actually received orders worth 1,641 crores, letter of award from Carbon Miners Maharashtra 1. So positive news flow over them. Rolex rings will be in focus as well. Weak set of earnings this time around. Revenue has seen a decline of 10% YOY, EBITDA down 17%, and even the margins were seen to be shrinking. Triveni Turbines, one of the counters that moves very sharply on the back of the earnings, but this time around not an impressive set coming in from Triveni. Revenue has been flat YOY, while the margins were steady at 22.6%, so no growth on that particular front. While KEC International is the last stock we're going to be talking about. Good set of earnings, one of the other candidates which generally comes out with the order inflow announcement, and quite often at that. The revenue has seen a surge of 19% this time around. EBITDA has seen a growth, and especially the margins have seen a growth from 6.3% to 7.1% on a YY basis. So a positive number coming in from KEC International.
That's right. So good numbers coming from KEC International. We'll watch out for all of these counters and see how they do in trade today. But lots of other cues as well to watch out for, and Snehi is back with us to take us through all of them.
Well, yes, lots of cues to watch out for. It's Tuesday, which means it's the Nifty expiry day, so watch out for any market volatility on the back of that. And it's that time of the month where we also see the monthly AMFI as well as SIP account data, so watch out for these numbers as well back home. But globally, in the US, the markets are going to remain closed on account of Veterans Day. From UK, you have jobless claims and unemployment data, so watch out for both of these metrics as well. In terms of global earnings, keep a close eye on SoftBank and Sony, two big companies that are going to be reporting their earnings. But shifting focus back home, while yes, we're in the last leg of the earnings season, we still have some companies left to report their quarter 2 numbers. From the Nifty 50 group of stocks, it's going to be Bajaj Finserv. After Bajaj Finance, that's going to be important to watch out for. And from the broader end of the market, watch out for BSE Limited, BKG Foods, Concor, Biocon, Tata Power, Gokaldas Exports, Rights, Texmaco, Godrej Industries, Edelweiss, Orchid Pharma, Parag Milk. Lots and lots of stocks to watch out for from the broader end of the market as well, so keep a very close eye on these stocks. Now, in terms of board meetings and corporate action, watch out for Biocon and Bharat Forge, because both of these stocks are going to be mulling fundraising as well along with their earnings. In terms of the primary markets, after the Lenskart listing, you have MV Photovoltaic IPO that's going to be opening, Physics Wala IPO will be opening, and Pan Labs IPO will be closing. So watch out for these developments in the primary market as well. Lastly, in terms of some other events, watch out for the annual Singles Day event in China. Now, why this is an important event to watch out for is because this means heightened sales for e-commerce and quick commerce companies in China. So watch out for some of the Asian markets and how the Chinese markets do on account of this event. And back home, PM Modi will be traveling to visit Bhutan from November 11 to 12 to inaugurate some projects over there. So watch out for all of these cues, all of them very important to track.
All right, thank you so much, Snehi, for all those details. But with this, viewers, time now to slip into a very short break.
Sri Sharma, time now to get you some more news updates. Now, the Tata Trust Board will meet today for the first time since Meli Mistry's exit as a trustee. The agenda includes business matters, philanthropic initiatives, and choosing Mistry's replacement. My colleague Anurag Joshi is here to take us through all the details and all that's been on agenda this time.
Tata Trust Board meets today, and this is the first board meeting of the trust after the exit of Meli Mistry as a trustee. On November 4, Meli Mistry had written a letter to the chairman of Tata Trust, Noel Tata, expressing his desire to part ways with the trust on amicable terms. Mistry's exit from the trust came after an about 2-month episode of acrimonious boardroom tussle, which started on September 11 following the resignation of Vijay Singh as a director of Tata Sons. And this continued through October, and this was marked by heightened tension in the board. And on October 28, when Meli Mistry's reappointment came up, some of the trustees, including Chairman Noel Tata, voted against a resolution to reappoint him. And since there was no unanimity for the resolution, Meli Mistry did not get a reappointment then. And following that, on November 4, he wrote a letter to Noel Tata expressing his desire to exit as a trustee.
All right, thank you so much for getting us all those details. But with this, let's revisit the big story of the day. The massive bomb blast near the Red Fort metro station has shattered the peace of the capital and put all security agencies on high alert. Security has been significantly ramped up across Delhi, with police personnel deployed at every critical point to maintain law and order. Now, the borders of the capital have been sealed, and every vehicle entering the city is under intense scrutiny for any suspicious activity. With other states also on high alert, our correspondent Sameer Dixit joins us now from Delhi border to bring us the ground reality of the enhanced security arrangements. Sameer.
It's not a usual Tuesday morning for Delhi police. The security arrangement has been beefed up in Delhi and the border areas after the shocking blast on Monday later evening by around 7 o'clock nearby Red Fort. And as of now, you can see that's a border area, and from here, the vehicles, they enter Delhi. But patrolling has been increased. More and more Delhi police jawan have been deployed so as they can thoroughly inspect, and if any suspicious activity, if any suspicious car or any such activity is found, they thoroughly investigate. As of now, if you see, the barricades have been increased. The vehicles which are entering Delhi, they are being checked properly. Now, this particular car which is having a tinted black car, now that's a suspicious kind of a thing, and that is the reason Delhi police has stopped this car, and it is being thoroughly checked, and also the verification of the car driver that is being done by Delhi police. In addition to this, if you see, jawans, the number of jawan deployed, the number has been increased, and they are having a close eye on the vehicles entering Delhi as of now. Now, such security arrangement, it has not been beefed up, not just in Delhi, but also in other states as well. For example, in Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Haryana, in these states as well. Even Uttar Pradesh has been put on high alert. So these sort of high arrangement, security arrangement has been done. And this is all because of the shocking blast that happened Monday evening at 7 o'clock near to Red Fort, and that resulted in the loss of life. 9 people lost their life, and more than as of now, more than 20 people, they are having injuries as well, and they are having their treatment at nearby LNJP hospital. So that sort of security arrangement, if you see, it has been increased, and the security agencies have been asked to remain high alert, and if any suspicious activity is found, immediate action has to be taken. With camera person Ashok, this is Sameer Dixit for ET Now.
All right, thank you, Sameer, for that update. We'll keep getting you updates from Ground Zero as Sameer Dixit is standing by in Delhi to take us through all the latest developments that are coming in.
But on spotlight on some of the earning candidates, and it's Gujarat Gas that did come out with a weak set of earnings in Q2, where all the metrics have declined sequentially. But how are the internals looking like? Let me take it across to Ashesha for more details. Ashesha.
Well, yes, volumes and margins have declined for Gujarat Gas on a sequential basis, and that weighed heavy on numbers this time around. And numbers for Gujarat Gas clearly have been weaker than what the street was working with. Net revenue has come in at about 3,780 odd crores. This is a decline of about 2% sequentially. EBITDA margins, meanwhile, at have also contracted on a sequential basis. Meanwhile, as far as other internals are concerned, as I mentioned, volumes have declined, and that was something that weighed heavy on numbers this time. So volumes declined from about 8.9 MMSCMD to about 8.7, which is a decline of 2% on a sequential basis. Compressed CNG volumes, meanwhile, were also flat QOQ. EBITDA margins in SCM terms was expected to come in at about 6 rupees per SCM, but that has declined from 6.4 in the previous quarter to about 5.6 rupees per SCM this quarter. As I mentioned, weaker than what the street was working with. Lower realizations was on account of cut in Morbi industrial prices, and that continued to weigh heavy on margins. So clearly, Gujarat Gas has reported weaker than expected set of numbers. Volumes were on the lower side, margins were weaker than expected, and that weighed heavy on Gujarat Gas this time.
Right, thank you, Ashisha, for that update. But ONGC has also come out with its numbers, and it's slightly a weaker set this time around, where the net profit has risen despite the decline in EBITDA margins on the back of lower depreciation and lower taxes. Take us through all the number crunching that you've done for us.
Well, yes, as far as ONGC is concerned, revenue has come in line with what the street was working with, but EBITDA is substantially below street estimates. And this is on account of higher expenses in the quarter gone by. Remember, depreciation cost was lower than expected, tax was lower than expected, and hence PAT again has come in line with what the street was working with, despite lower than expected EBITDA figure this time. As I mentioned, other expenses shot up in the quarter gone by. In fact, they have risen by about 22% on a year-on-year basis and about 24% on a sequential basis. So that clearly weighed heavy on the EBITDA number this time. Now, crude oil production, that one was up nearly 0.9% on a YOY, but that has also declined on a sequential basis, and this is also lower than what company itself was targeting for themselves. Lower crude oil production was on account of field underperformance and drilling restrictions in the quarter gone by. Now, as far as gas production is concerned, that too has declined on a year-on-year basis, although it has risen marginally by about 1.5% on a sequential basis. Net crude realizations, meanwhile, has shot up on a sequential basis, and this is because crude oil prices were on the higher side sequentially, although on a year-on-year basis they've declined. Crude oil prices in the global market have risen on a QOQ basis. But all in all, other expenses shot up, and that weighed heavy on EBITDA. Other expenses up nearly 22 to 24% both on a sequential and on a year-on-year basis, and that is the reason numbers look weaker than what the street was working with.
Thank you so much, Ashesha, for getting us all those details. But with this, let's also put the spotlight on Bajaj Finance. The company did come out with a steady set. The numbers were majorly in line, but along with that, there has been a guidance cut, and that's the big catch here in Bajaj Finance. Let me take it across to my colleague Mitali for more details on the numbers. Mitali.
Yeah, rightly said. Bajaj Finance saw a mixed quarter with inline earnings. Also, there is a minor cut in the growth guidance. Earlier, the management has quoted about 22 to 24% growth guidance, but that has come down to 20 to 22% now. And if you see the financial metrics, the NII was up by 22% YOY basis, while the PAT was up by 22% YOY basis, coming up to 4875 crores for this quarter. Impairment stood at 2269 crores, that were up 7% quarter on quarter. AUM raised by 24% year-on-year basis, stood at 4.62 lakh crores as well. PPOP was 21% up with an amount of 8,874 crores, while the gross NPA at stage 3 stood at 1.24%, that was up by 21 basis quarter on quarter. Net NPA at stage 3 stood at 0.6%, up by 10 basis points quarter on quarter. If you talk about the CAR, it was at 21.23%. Now, what's worked for the company? Let's talk about that. The credit cost likely to come off. The company said so. And also the MSME worries completely under control. That also the management has quoted yesterday. Apart from that, OPEX levels to aid the numbers coming in the further quarters. Except that, what's not worked for the company, if we talk about that, the growth guidance has been trimmed as I mentioned. Also, the margin benefit unlikely to translate, and the MSME book faces a lot of pressure right now.
All right, thank you for that update on Bajaj Finance. But moving on, let's put the spotlight on Britannia, which is going to be in focus today as Varun Berry has stepped down from his leadership roles, where he led the company for nearly a decade, overseeing its growth and diversification into dairy and snacking. His departure marks the end of an era for a prominent consumer goods leader. My colleague Snehi is here to take us through all of the other details.
Well, yes, so very surprising news coming in from Britannia last evening, wherein we've seen their MD and CEO and Executive Vice Chairman Varun Berry, who's put his papers down, and his resignation is in effect immediately. He tendered his resignation on November 6th. The board has approved his resignation and also waived his notice period. And also remember, with this, now Varun Berry steps down from the position from several key committees like stakeholder relationship, CSR, risk management, finance, strategy, and IT, to name a few. Now, in the interim, you have Executive Director and CFO Natarajan Venkatraman, who has been appointed as the interim CEO to take a look at things and be on top of things till the 15th of December. That is when Rakshit Hargave, ex-Birla Opus, his appointment was announced in the earnings of Britannia last week, and he is going to be taking over the helm of Britannia. And in December, 15th of December is when he's going to be taking over. So for approximately 1 month, you will have the CFO, who is Natarajan Venkatraman, seeing things in the interim. Now, if you take a look at Varun Berry's journey at Britannia, in 2013, he joined Britannia as Vice President and COO. And remember, he had come from PepsiCo and HUL, so he brought a whole vast experience with him. In 2014, he was elevated to MD. 2018, he was reappointed for MD for the term of 5 more years. So that was positive for that. And in May of this year, he was elevated to CEO in addition to his existing roles. After Rajneet Singh Kohli, he resigned, and in the interim, Varun Kohli was also made CEO. If you take a look at his contribution to Britannia, he revamped the business operations and cost efficiency that helped improve margins significantly. He also, his focus was on building a local leadership team, which he succeeded in doing. He expanded the portfolio out of biscuits, and not only biscuits, into bakery, dairy and adjacent categories as well. Cheese was something that was introduced under him. They strengthened Britannia's distribution, brand building and innovation capabilities as well. So if you take a look at the stock move of Britannia under the leadership of Varun Berry, if you take a look at when he was appointed for the first time in 2013, the stock price was about 236 rupees, has jumped all the way up to 6,133. That's a percentage hike of 2,500% or 26 times since his appointment, with a CAGR rate of 31%. And even if you take a look at his CEO appointment in May this year, from then the stock is up about 14% in this short time frame. So market cap expansion, margin expansion is something that Varun Berry has to be credited for. But well, yes, surprise exit coming in from the top boss at Britannia.
All right, thank you so much, Snehi, for getting us all those details. But with this, fears, we are completely timed out on this edition of Market Cafe. It's a goodbye from me and Kanishka and the entire team. Thank you so much for tuning in.